this is Shweta from Dharamshala Animal Rescue.
Hi everyone, this is Amy with Primates Incorporated and ReelTime Animal Rescue.
Hello everyone, this is Becky at Blue for the Horse-Linkshire Misfit Mustangs.
ReelTime Animal Rescue with Julie McLaughlin of Indiana Skunk Rescue.
Yep, get her. You got her? Judy, God bless you. Oh my God.
This is a big brown bat who is really enjoying his mealworms.
They actually just had their breakfast.
Hello and welcome. I'm Krista Embry, founder of ReelTime Animal Rescue and Compassion Education Connect and Inspire. What you're about to see today is happening right now in the real world, and you're going to meet people who are helping animals and protecting our planet. When you learn with compassion, you don't just gain knowledge, you create change. So today isn't just about watching, it's about you and the difference you can make in our world. Welcome to Compassion Education Connect and Inspire. We're so glad you're here.
Well, we are very glad you're here. And just to let you know what happened, in the time that that video was playing, I found out that my cat had unplugged my computer. So it was not being charged. And so while the video was playing, my computer died. And the video was just long enough that I was able to restart my computer. And by the time we finished the video, hey, I was here. Okay, so give me a second to readjust myself. This was an amazing event that just happened. I'm gonna go ahead and pin my screen. Yes, definitely give me thumbs up for my excellent job of solving my own technical problems. All righty, well, here we are. This is Compassion Education. I mentioned to some of you a few minutes ago before the class started that today's class, if you have been joining us for many sessions, is going to look very different, not very different, but just a little bit different in the sense that I'm not going to share my screen with any slides, no prepared videos, no prepared photos. This is going to be a very real-time experience with lots of different animal experiences. Now, obviously, some of you who have joined before are kind of expecting what I might be sharing with you today. And others of you have absolutely no idea what I'm about to do. And to be honest with you, I actually am not sure what I'm going to do either, because I have around me, behind me, on this side, on that side, I'm just surrounded by lots of different things. All of it is related to animals in some way or form. And so I'm going to get started with a part, I think. I'm going to start this way. I'm going to start with a section that I haven't done for a while, and it's going to be Mr. O's treasure box. We haven't had Mr. O's treasure box for quite some time. So Mr. O's treasure box is right here, and it is full, absolutely full of marvelous items. And so here it is. I'm opening up the box, and I am extremely aware that you can't see the incredible things that I can see. So I'm going to switch my cameras real quick, but I'm not going to switch to the camera you're used to seeing when I do Mr. O's treasure box. I have gotten a new magnifying camera that I can zoom in very closely to somebody. I think it magnifies up to 1,000 times. So we're going to look at some objects with this magnifying camera. And I'm going to start with something. Let me find out what I'm going to start with. Let me start off with this thing right here. I'm going to I'm going to switch my camera to my magnifying one. And initially, it's going to be quite blurry. And over time, I'm going to focus it. And we're going to try to figure out what we are looking at. So give me a second. I'm going to switch to my magnifying camera. Okay, so very blurry, right? Does everyone see very blurry stuff? Is it very blurry? Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on this. There we go. So I am zooming in on something. Does anyone want to unmute themselves and shout out what you think this thing might be?
A feather.
This, very good. This is a feather. And right here, I'm going to move it a little bit. Right here, we're on the middle part of the feather. So we're zooming in really, really great detail. And so you can see that in the middle, there's that big long line, and that is called the vane. That is the central part of the feather. But off of the vane are all these little lines, and off those little lines are like little hooks. And amazingly, this is the way a feather is designed, that all of these lines connect to one another, kind of like hooks on Velcro. And so right here, I'm going to show you an area where the feather has come apart. But can you see how those hooks work? They hook back onto the other line of the feather. And this happens to be a duck feather. And ducks spend hours every single day cleaning their feathers. And they use their bills basically to zip their feathers together. It's kind of like a zipper, that they find all the areas where the feather has come apart, like right here. They'll find the areas, and they use their bills to zip every single line together. And they spend hours and hours doing this. And it's a really incredible feature of feathers. Okay, but if we go down the vane, okay, does everyone see some fluffy feathers? Does everyone see fluffy feathers? Okay, the fluffy feathers, these are at the base of the feathers, and they look a little bit different. They look kind of fluffy. They're not so tidy. And these are the feathers that are found at the base of a feather, the parts of a feather that is much better at trapping heat and keeping a duck warm. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this feather. It's going to be very blurry for a second. And I'm going to show you something called a down feather. So here, okay, let's see if we can zoom in on it. It's very lightweight. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. Okay, does everyone see that? It's kind of blurry because it's so fluffy. Aha, here's a better view. Does everyone see this? This is a down feather of a duck. And did you know that ducks have 2 layers of feathers? They have the feathers on the outside, and they have the feathers on the inside. And the feathers on the inside are very fluffy. They don't zip together. Let's just see if we can focus that. There we go. It doesn't zip together. It's just very poofy. And that is because these feathers, called down feathers, trap heat and keep a duck nice and warm. And this particular feather, I actually got off of one of my duck's nests, because female ducks take feathers off of their body. They take the down feathers and they use them to line their nest. Okay, so they use them to line their nest. And give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to me. And the reason why I'm switching back to me is because I wanted to talk about the reason why a female duck takes the feathers off her own body is to prepare something very warm for her babies, for her eggs. And we're just going to switch real quickly, just because I feel like this is the appropriate time to do it, to look at a baby duck that benefited from the mommy taking those feathers off of her body and keeping her eggs nice and warm. And eventually, because she has her eggs nice and warm with all of her down feathers, which trap heat and are great at keeping her eggs warm and from getting cold, eventually ducklings hatch out. So this right here is a duck that is about, I think it's just under 10 days old now. And so this duck was hatched by the mommy, but we have these ducks that are actually finding new homes. So today, or actually this weekend, some of these ducks have found amazing homes from other people who are going to take care of them for the rest of their life. And I'm going to go ahead real quickly, and I'm going to switch to another camera angle so we can see little duckling right here. There he is. Let me see if I can focus on him a little bit. Now he's peeping a lot because ducks are very social creatures that like to be with each other. And of course, we don't raise ducks by themselves, just because that's not the way they should be taken care of. Of course, they should have friends. And so, do you want a friend? Here we go. Here's your friend. There we go. Okay, that's the friend. So this duckling is, let's see, let me focus real quick. See if we can get any focus on it. They keep moving. It's going to be hard. Okay, well, let them wander around. These ducks are brother and sister. This is a female right here, and this is a male right here. And interestingly, they were hatched on the very same day. They were from the same litter, but yellow duck right here, the girl, is actually, especially from my angle, she's actually quite a bit bigger than the other one. Oh, you don't want to be held? She's actually quite a bit bigger than her brother. And does anyone want to raise their hand and shout out, why do you think they are different sizes, even though they are from the exact same hatch? Any ideas? You can unmute yourself and answer the question if you think you have an answer. Why is this duck so much bigger than this duck, even though they were born on the same day?
Because females are bigger than males?
Because females are bigger than males. So that's very good logic, because I told you this is a girl and this is a boy. But actually in ducks, normally males are a tiny bit bigger. So that is not the reason. Does anyone else have a guess? Why is this column?
Eggs were laid on different days.
The eggs were laid on different days. Okay, that could be part of it. And do you mind muting yourself when you're not speaking, just because it echoes from your screen? Thank you so much. They were laid on different days, and that is true. When a duck lays her eggs, actually, their mother laid 14 eggs, and it took her almost 14 days to lay them because, oh, and by the way, just in case you weren't acquainted with it, right here, this is really live duck poo. It just happened in front of your eyes. So that was an amazing, very wild experience that this duck just produced some poo right in front of you. This is part of the real-time experience of working with live animals. They love to do things like poo and also leave the screen so you can't see them. So thank you very much. Well, when ducks are born, when duck eggs are born, their mother lays 1 egg a day. On day 1, she lays 1 egg. On day 2, she lays the second egg until she's all done. And so this mama laid 14 eggs in total. And we think that this one was laid probably first and this one was laid last. But the way ducks work is they don't start to sit on their eggs until the very last egg is is laid. But when the last egg is laid, then she starts to sit on the eggs and the eggs start to develop. So my guess was that this duckling right here was laid very last. And so he didn't have quite as much time to develop as his sister, who might have been laid first, but he's going to catch up very soon. And soon, when they're about 8 weeks old, they should be almost the exact same size, with the exception that he is a boy, so he might be a tad bit larger. But there we go. She is actually practicing right now, taking care of her feathers. Right now, they don't have any proper feathers. They're just covered in duckling fluff. But they are already practicing to take care of those feathers and learning how to zip every single one together. Oh, and right now she's trimming her toenails. That was very nice. Thank you for showing us that. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and stick them back in their area. And we're going to continue on with our treasure box. I'm going to switch over to my magnifying camera, and I want to share with you something quite special that we found. And so I'm not going to show you what it looks like from the outside. We're going to zoom in right away to right here. So, okay, if I zoom in, you probably already know what this is. We've already seen one. What is this? Someone shout it out. What was that?
Feather.
This is a feather. Fantastic. This is definitely a feather. No question about it. You can see those lines. You can see where they connect together, where they zip together. But I just want to show you this feather. It's not quite the same as that last feather. I'm just going to zoom right over here. Look at that right there. Look at that right there. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom right over this area right here. Look at that absolutely fantastic color right there. So right over here, we're going to start over here and just slide across. And you can see this fantastic color that it looks a little bit. Would anyone like to describe what you think it looks like? What is that? What does it look like to you? Do you want to? It looks like an ocean. What else do you think it looks like?
Browny bluish.
It's very bluish, yes. Does anyone think it looks a little bit metallic, a little shiny?
It looks like a feather.
It looks like a feather. Actually, right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to lift it up real quick. I think I got a down feather stuck in the magnifying glass. So let's go back there. So right there, let's look at that blue. Well, actually, what we have here is we have little colors on the feather that are actually crystalline structures. And these are crystalline structures that capture light differently than all the other feathers. And when they reflect the color, it comes out as magnificent colors. And this color is mostly blue. And honestly, blue is a very rare color in the animal kingdom. Almost no mammals are blue. There are a handful of birds that are blue, but not many reptiles are blue. There are some blue colors in reptiles, but really blue is a very rare color. But right here, let's look right here. Okay, can you see right there? Can you see the base of the feather? And you can see something on top of it, because on top of their feather, in order to get those magnificent colors, there's these little crystalline structures on it that makes this feather amazing blue. But if we were to look at it in different light, it may look a little purple, it may look a little bit greenish. So it's absolutely incredible the way that this feather structure works. Okay, now I'm going to just turn cameras again. We're going to be switching cameras a lot, and I'm going to show you what the feather looked like in its entirety. This is the feather right here. Okay, so this feather, does anyone want to guess where this feather came from? What kind of bird this feather came from? Any guesses out there? It's a very unusual triangular shape. It almost looks like a shark's fin, you know, like at the top of a shark. Does anyone want to guess where this feather came from? What bird species? You can unmute yourself and shout it out if you have a guess. You can just guess, even if you don't know. Any thoughts out there? I see some conferring, some whispering.
Mandarin.
A mandarin. This is a mandarin duck. So this is a duck's feather. But if you look at it, this is a very unusual feather, and this is part of his tail feathers. It's not like his tail. It's just like he has these extra feathers on the back of his body that look like a shark fin or a boat sail. And these are just incredible feathers that you might ask, well, why do I have his feather if it belongs to a bird? Well, actually, twice a year, birds, ducks, they shed all of their feathers. They drop all of their feathers in order to grow new ones. And so one of my boys found this feather. It had been dropped by the duck, and so we collected it in order to share it with you. So pretty cool feature. Okay, we're going to go back to the magnifying glass, and we're going to see if I can find another treasure to share with you. And I think I'm going to start right here with something that I have in a box that I'm opening up. And I'm just going to zoom in on it and see if anyone would like to guess what I am looking at. What do you think I am looking at? Does anyone have a guess? What is this thing that I have under my magnifying camera?
A stone. Skin.
A stone. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Skin.
What was that?
Skin.
Skin. Okay, it maybe looks like skin, maybe it looks like a rock. It's actually not a rock, and it's not skin, although it looks a little bit like skin. I can see that. Any other thoughts?
A feather.
A feather. This is not a feather, although I can see some structures that may cause you to think it's a feather. Any other thoughts out there? What could this be?
An egg.
This is an egg. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to zoom out, and let's see, it's going to be very blurry until it's not. There it is. Aha. Whoops. I have to look very carefully. There we go. Can you all see that? This is an egg from a duck, which is really interesting because when you zoom up on it, I don't know if anyone would have thought right away that this was an egg, because lots of times we think that eggs are quite smooth, and this is smooth-ish, but also has lots of bumps and specks and little markings on it. And this is just what an egg looks like. And an egg is actually not particularly smooth because an egg is something that the developing bird inside can breathe through. So there's actually little holes all over. If I had a better magnifying glass, you could actually see lots of holes. But can anyone see kind of like the different colors and the different ridges? Those are actually air pockets that the egg is not entirely smooth, and it is possible for the bird inside to be breathing through it. So that's really cool. And this egg in particular, let's zoom back out on it, came from one of my ducks outside. It just kind of laid it. I don't think it's actually anything developing inside of it, but this duck right here, this egg, comes from a duck called the South Georgia pintail, which is a duck species that is found on an island just north of Antarctica. And it's the island that has one of the most numbers of penguins in the world. So right now you're looking at an egg from a duck that lives with penguins. That's pretty cool, don't you think? Okay, now let's see. We're going to go back to myself, and I feel like I am ready to share with you something really, really, really special that I don't think I've talked about before. I don't think I've shared with anyone before, but raise your hand if you remember the reptile that I have with me. Does anyone remember my reptile? Does it? Okay, so you do not remember my reptile, and real quickly, I'm just going to let somebody in. They're waiting to come in. Okay. All right, they're back in the class. Okay, so I have a reptile, so I'm gonna go get my reptile real quick. So give me about 20 seconds and I will come back with my reptile. Okay. All righty, so this one doesn't need a magnifying glass because she is more than big enough to be seen without a magnifying glass, but here she is. This is Desert. This is Desert, our bearded dragon. And some of you have seen our bearded dragon before and know that this was a rescued animal that was found by the police living in a very bad habitat in a house. It was too small, and there were 8 of them living together. And these guys in the wild are solitary. They live by themselves. And so as a result of having the wrong house, the wrong number of critters in the same cage, poor Desert lost her tail right there, and the bone was broken, and it is now growing at the wrong angle. And she also right here, she lost all of her toes on one foot. You can all see that. She lost all of her toes right here. She should have these nice long toes like right here. You can see her long toes, but another bearded dragon probably bit them off. So we don't have all of her toes on one side. And we're just going to quickly switch camera so you can see Desert nice and up close. Give me a second to go to this camera right here. There she is. Let's maybe we can turn off the light a little bit so we can see her. And we're going to try to focus in on Desert. Okay, here we go. So a lovely, lovely lizard. Yeah, she's missing her tail and some of her toes, but she has a wonderful, friendly disposition. So we like her a lot. But the thing I actually wanted to show you, which was very surprising to us, was when one day one of my kids was downstairs and walking past her cage, and he just said, "Oh my, that's a lot of eggs." And did you know that Desert here laid 19 eggs? She laid 19 lizard eggs. Raise your hand if you have ever seen a lizard egg, ever. Okay, some have seen lizard eggs, well done, but actually most of you are not raising your hands. And so she laid 19 eggs, and I was very shocked. I didn't think she would lay eggs, but then I looked at them and I discovered that they were actually, some of them were fertile. They were fertile. There was something growing in them because the cage that she was in before, they were both males and females. And so she was actually pregnant when we got her, and she laid 19 eggs. Not all of them were good, but some of them were good. And in the wild, a bearded dragon doesn't take care of their eggs or their young. What they do is they just dig a hole in the ground and they bury their eggs. They lay their eggs, they bury them, and then they go away. And then maybe up to 70 days later, a baby bearded dragon pops out of the egg and it just walks away and goes up by itself. It never sees its parents. It doesn't stick around to be with its brothers and sisters. And interestingly, I'm seeing some sad faces going up. It's sad for us. We think it's sad and tragic, but actually, this is the way they live. Okay, so that being said, that is our bearded dragon. But would anyone like to see her eggs? Anyone like to see that? Okay, so I'm gonna need another 20 seconds. I need to put Desert back in her cage, and then I need to go get her eggs. I'll be right back. Okay, that was round 1. And then round 2 is actually, and I'm just going to turn my computer a little bit. And right over here, I have an incubator. And we took the eggs that were good and we put them in the incubator. It's been about 20 days. And I might have 50 days to go. I have no guarantee that they're going to hatch. I've never done this before. But let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and open up the incubator, and I'm going to bring out the container, not for very long, because I don't want to keep them out from the heat for too long. But I'm going to share with you what is going on with these eggs. So give me a second. I have somebody who's wanting to come in. Let me just let them into the class. Okay. I think they're in. All righty. So once again, I told you there's going to be lots of camera switching. So I'm going to switch cameras again. So we're going to go to this camera. Okay. Let's see. There they are. So I put them in a container. And this container is designed. It is a Tupperware from Costco. And it was designed to keep things inside. And there's a lid that goes all the way around. And so I use this to help keep the heat in. But I do need to check it every week to make sure there's no rotten eggs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the lid, not for very long, because I don't want to lose too much heat. But you have to remember that in the wild, the lizards just dump their eggs in the ground, and then they walk away. And in real life, in the wild, the temperatures go up and they go down. So it's okay for a few minutes for us to take it off. But let's go ahead and take this camera and look overhead. And there we can see. Okay, so right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eggs left. And the reason why I only have 7 out of 19 is because not all of them were actually fertile. Not all of them had a baby lizard developing inside of it. But you can see that, let me see if I get right overhead. Okay, you can see that they're not all quite the same size. This one right here is quite small. And from my angle, this one right here is the biggest, because what happens is as a bearded dragon egg is developing, they are not in hard shells. These are not hard-shelled eggs like the eggs that you crack to make, an omelet or to eat eggs out of. Their shells are a bit squishy. They're soft-shelled eggs, and that's quite important because the soft shell kind of expands as the lizard is developing inside. And so the eggs that have expanded, like this one, this one, this one, and this one, are very likely to have a lizard inside of them. Whereas these two right here, they actually haven't expanded since the day that they were born or laid out of their mommy. And so I'm not 100% sure that these ones are going to make it. But right now, I have hopes that 1, 2, 3, 4 bearded dragons may hatch in about 50 days. I'm not 100% sure. But here's to hoping that in about 50 days, we will have some bearded dragon babies, which means that stay around. In about 50 days, I might have a class. If everything goes perfect, I might have a class on baby bearded dragons. So definitely stick around and keep up to date with what's going on with the bearded dragons. Okay, now, this is coming a little bit to the end. I'm actually going to put my treasure box away because something that a lot of you are aware of because of previous classes, or some of your parents or teachers may know something about what's going on at the Austin household. I would like to, of course, share with you a very special animal we've recently brought into our lives, which is our baby tawny owl. So I actually have a baby tawny owl that we've been raising since he was about 2 weeks old. And some of you joined our class last week. Who joined class last week and saw the baby tawny owl? Okay, maybe half of you or so, maybe a little bit less than half of you saw him. And so you know how big he was when you saw him last week. And I just have to tell you, he has grown so much in 1 week. 1 week ago, he was a certain size, and I'm about to show you how big he is. So are you ready to meet our tawny owl? Okay, the answer looks like a pretty definite yes. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out my tawny owl, who I have in a plastic bucket, because why not? And so I'm going to go ahead and bring out tawny owl, who was actually taking a nap, poor thing. And so here he is. This is Aluco, my tawny owl. And he's right away showing his enormous wingspan right here. Last week, his wingspan was almost nothing. And this week, he has almost all of his full flight feathers on his wing. He is growing at a fantastic speed. His face is developing feathers. He has feathers growing all over his body. And I'm just going to put him down right here. Don't worry, he's coming right back for all of you on screen. I'm just once again going to change camera angles. Let's see, we're going to go to this camera right here and see if we can get a nice view of dear Aluco, the tawny owl. Let's go ahead and focus in on him. There we go. And so there he is. This is Aluco, the tawny owl. He is just about 4 weeks old. Last week, if you were joining class, I would say if I use my hand, he probably came up to about right here. And he was about half the weight, half the size. And this week, he's just absolutely enormous if you saw him last week. Now, he is still a very fluffy owl, so much fluffiness all around him. But underneath all that fluffiness is a lot of feathers growing. And so much so that I'm going to turn Fluffy Owl around. There we go. And right here, you can see only feather right here growing out from where his wing is, because his wing feathers are very, very long. You want to show us your wings? There we go. His wing feathers are super, super long. There's still a little bit of fluff. Okay. Do you see right here these feather veins right there? Do you see those like lines? Those are his feather veins. Okay, you don't want to show us your feather veins. Okay. I guess we have to respect, like, he doesn't want to show us his feather veins. Well, his feathers are still growing. And hopefully in about 6 to 7 weeks, his feathers are going to be full length. And then he will be very, very close to being able to fly. We expect him to be able to fly, I should say, around 14 weeks of age. So he has roughly 10 weeks to go before he's able to fly. Now, Aluco is not a wild-born owl. He was born in captivity to parent owls that were also born in captivity. And this is very, very important because it is illegal. It is not permitted to have an owl as a pet. But if you have an owl that was already born in captivity and you have the proper documentation for him, it is permissible to keep an owl, granted you have adequate experience and ability to take care of it. So not something I recommend in any way for a pet. It's a very large investment of time, energy, and knowledge. But I have Aluco here in order to use him. There we go. We want to see his lovely eyes. I have Aluco here, and I will raise him, and I will train him. And if you keep joining compassionate education classes with me, you are going to be able to see Aluco grow up week by week. So keep joining us, and who knows, maybe bearded dragons will pop out one day, Aluco will be flying one day, and we'll do lots of things with these animals. Now, owls are born very fluffy, and eventually they'll have only feathers. But the reason why he grew so much from last week to this week is for a very obvious reason, and that is because he has been eating. He right now is eating about twice as much food as he will when he's an adult. He's eating so much food because every day he is growing. And so on that note, would anyone like to see Aluco eat his next meal? Okay, I have some positive affirmation. Yes, we are definitely going to see Aluco eat his next meal. So I have got right here in this little jar, I already prepared his meal for him. And it's been interesting because we've been living with Aluco and learning his behavior and what he is like and what he wants. And when he is hungry, he makes this little chittering sound like when he tells us that he's hungry. And he also lets us know when he is not hungry or when he's done with his meal. Because when his stomach is full, he doesn't just keep eating, he actually just stops. And if I offer him food, he will look at it, and then he will slowly back away from his food because he's telling me he is all done with his food. So I have prepared a meal for him, and we'll see, does he want every bite of his meal or is he just done? Oh, thank you for opening your mouth for us. I think that he might be ready for his food because he's opening and closing his mouth. So I have these tweezers right here. I have these tweezers, and I'm just going to go ahead and one by one offer him a piece of food and see, see if he's up. There we go. He was hungry. There we go. There we go. And that was it. That's all it is. He basically takes it into his mouth and swallows it. Birds don't have teeth. They don't chew their food. And owls specifically, they don't even rip their food like some other birds might. He just swallows his food whole. Now, I have them in smaller bite-sized pieces because he is young, but every day he grows so much bigger. And so some of his pieces get bigger as he grows up. So here you go, buddy. Do you want another piece? Oh, yes, you want another piece. There we go. Okay, now he is backing very close to the edge of the table, and he might not know about this. Let's scoot up, Fluffy Owl. Okay, and get ready for your next bite. Are you ready, buddy? Okay, let's see. Now, you might be noticing that as I offer him food, oops, you have to actually look at it, buddy. There we go. Do you all see that fluffiness coming out? That fluffiness is because what I'm feeding him is baby chickens. They were already prepared. They're already available for me to buy in order to feed animals like an owl. And you might think, well, why would you eat the fluff? And it's because it's good for owls. The fluff actually helps them with digestion. They do need to eat lots and lots of meat, just like that chunk right there. But the bones and the fluff actually are very helpful for him to digest his food. And I have one more piece left for him. He hasn't refused any of it, and I think he wants his whole meal. There we go. Well done, buddy. Okay. Well, that is Aluco. Okay. Now, here we go. We're just going to turn you real quick. Oh, thank you for showing us your wings a little bit. Okay. While I have him out, I'm going to put him away in a few minutes, but this might be a good chance for anyone to ask any questions. Does anyone have any questions for me at this point before we move on to the next part?
How do you know he's hungry?
How do I know he's hungry? Well, I would say part of it is the sounds that he makes. When he makes that chittering sound, it's telling me he wants something, and mostly what he wants is food. The other thing about him, though, is I know he's a young baby owl, and he needs to eat regularly. So I feed him 4 times a day. And so even if I don't know if he's hungry, I feed him every 4 hours, 4 times a day. And that is what he needs to keep himself healthy and growing. So he'll chitter, he'll make some noises if I know he's hungry and like really wants his food. But even if he doesn't make the sound, I will still offer him food because he needs to keep eating. Very good question. Okay, I think we have a question or a hand raised from Cambridge.
I was just gonna tell you that when you went to put Desert back into her cage, it actually took 9 seconds and 18 milliseconds.
Excellent. I needed maybe next time I'll say 10 seconds. Thank you for that. Any other questions out there about the owl or anything else we've seen so far? Okay. If not,
How big can their wings get?
sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
How big can their wings get?
Ooh, how big can his wings get? Okay, so right now, I'm going to use my fingers. Right now, his wingspan is about as long as the width of my hand. Can you see that? When it's full grown, one wing is going to be about twice as big as this wingspan of my hand span. So one wing is going to be like this long. I can't quite do that. It's going to be like this long, just one wing. It's going to be this long, and the other wing will be this long. His total wingspan is going to be over a meter. It's going to be a meter and a few centimeters. Good question. Okay, I think I have a question coming from Norwich. Go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question. Go ahead.
How will he be able to fly? Will you train him?
How will he be able to fly, and will I have to train him? That's a good question because there's 2 ways of answering that. One is he will already know how to fly. He's not injured. He doesn't have a broken wing or any big injuries. So when he grows up, he will know how to fly. And already we're witnessing him starting to flap his wings a little bit. And he's flapping his wings to make his muscles stronger and just to practice the whole movement of flapping his wings. So he will already know how to fly. I don't have to teach him how to fly in that way. But at the same time, I do need to teach him a little bit how to fly because he will have no reason to fly really, because owls mostly need to fly to get their food. They are top predators. They hunt for a life, for their living. They need to hunt fresh meat. And so he will have to learn how to fly, but he has no reason to hunt because I will always be offering him food. So when he grows up, I will actually train him to fly, not so much to find his food because I will always provide food for him, but I will train him how to fly and how to respond to me. Because one day in the future, and this may take a year or more, I want to train him how to fly and come back to my hand. I will wear a special glove, and I will train him that my gloved hand is good, and it's the place that he always needs to come back to. But of course, this takes a long time because initially, when I just let him go and fly, he may decide, bye-bye, that's it. I'm going away and never coming back. So I need to train him in that respect, how to fly and how to respond to me. So this is why I highly, highly encourage you to keep coming back to these classes, because week by week, we're going to see new growth and development in Aluco, including eventually his training to train this owl how to be responsive to me, how to fly back to me, and how to always come back to where his home is. Excellent question. Okay, we'll take another question coming from London. If you want to go ahead, Healy's. Or while you're waiting, we can also do the other London family, the fans. If you want to go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question. If you have your hand raised up, whoever gets it first. Okay, I see unmuting happening and not yet. Okay, well, we'll hold on to that question, no problem. If you think of it later, go ahead and ask it. But we're gonna go ahead, everyone can say goodbye to Aluco. We're gonna put him back in his lovely plastic container home. Oh, and we see sadness, but don't worry. If you keep coming back to our classes, you will see Aluco again. Okay, well, we are rapidly running out of time. My goodness, how time flies when we're learning so many things. Okay, I'm going to switch my camera angle again. I promise you we're going to do that an awful lot. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're back to me. Okay, so, wow, a lot of different animal specimens, a lot of live animals, a lot of live stories. And so with that, I would like to let all of the, mainly the teachers and educators and parents out there know about some special opportunities coming up with Compassion Education and specifically with me. Next week, the exact same time, Friday at 4:30, just everyone put this in your calendar if this is something interesting to you. I will have a very specific class next week on bird anatomy. And this class is designed for older children. This is not to say that younger children cannot join, but it is designed for those over the age of 8. Now, if you're under the age of 8, don't worry, talk to your parents who can talk to me, and I grant lots and lots of special permission. But the reason why I have this class at the age of 8 and over is because we are going to learn about bird anatomy, which is going to have some very new thoughts, long words, complicated definitions. And we are going to look at a bird and dissect it. I will have a specimen of a whole bird. The bird is unfortunately dead, but we are going to cut it open and we are going to look at all of the internal structure, the bones, the muscles, the organs of a bird. And it is going to be a very advanced anatomy class that most of you would never get to until you're like maybe 16 or 18 years old, or maybe even university. So this is a special opportunity for anatomy, especially if you're interested in birds, especially if you are interested in wildlife biology, becoming a vet, becoming a zookeeper, generally knowing more about biology and anatomy. So this is a special opportunity. The class is available. It's on my website. Many of you know how to get to there. I will also email all of you after this class to let you know where that is. So have a think about it, parents and teachers, if you feel that that would be appropriate for your kids, if your kids would enjoy it, if they would benefit from it, or if it maybe is a little bit too advanced. So that will be happening next week. And then the other thing I want to mention as a very special opportunity is that at the help from some of you who have been communicating with me, I would like to announce that we will be forming a very special club. This will be a club specifically for all of you who are on this class. Whether this is your first time or you've joined many times before, we will be starting a club that is not just going to be like my classroom where I teach you about things, I show you things, I describe things, I give you presentations, I have live animals. No, this is going to be a club where with all the information that you've been learning in school, with me specifically, we are going to form a club that will learn how to take action, where we don't just learn and receive facts, but we actually do something with these facts. We do something that would make a difference for us to respond, to help these animals out, to not just know that animals need help, but we will actually do something about it. And I have lots and lots of ideas. Some of you actually are the ones who gave me this idea to start a club. And so I'll also email all of you who have joined this class today. that we will have a club. Now, it may be specifically about birds, but this we'll have to discuss how large this club will be. Will we mainly focus with birds or also mammals and reptiles? We will have our first class discussion in 2 weeks, sorry, club discussion in 2 weeks. Once again, the age of this club is mainly for those over the age of 8. But once again, if you feel like your kid would enjoy being in a club where we discuss things and we have conversation and we take action to make changes for animals, please email me and we would happily receive you into our club if you feel that something of that nature would be appropriate for your kids under the age of 8. But otherwise, if you're over the age of 8, we would be so happy for you to join our club, and we will have much more discussion what this club will do and what we will be working on to make change and help out animals in 2 weeks. It will be either Thursday or Friday. I will announce the specific date in a little bit. So I do hope to see you, many of you, join us for our first club meeting in 2 weeks. So we're going to conclude there. I will give one more opportunity if anyone has any questions. If there's any questions for me, you can go ahead and raise your hand and ask the question. I think we have a question coming from New Hampshire. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. One more. Yeah, go ahead.
What does Aluco eat?
What does Aluco eat? Aluco eats meat. He is a carnivore. He is a meat eater. And right now I feed Aluco chicks, baby chickens. When he grows up, I will also be feeding him mice. I may also feed him insects if we catch them in the wild. He would also eat insects and worms in the wild. So I may also feed those to him when he grows up. But right now he eats baby chickens. Okay, I have a question coming. Where is it coming from? Cambridge.
What type of bird will we be dissecting?
Sorry, can you repeat that question one more time?
What type of bird will we be dissecting?
A type of bird. We will be dissecting a fulvous whistling duck. Intriguing, isn't it? It is a fulvous whistling duck. It is sad that the animal is dead, but I will use this as an opportunity to teach bird anatomy. Okay, any other questions out there? If not, why don't we all go ahead and if you'd like to turn your video back on, unmute yourself, and we can say hello, goodbye, and see you next time after our question from New Hampshire. One question from New Hampshire. Go for it.
And he just was on a walk.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, why does your owl have to eat baby chicks?
Why? Well, he needs a source of meat. And he needs a source of meat that has bones and it has fur or feathers, because it's actually it's important for owl digestion that they don't just eat meat, just the muscle part. They do need to eat fluff, bones. It actually helps them with their digestion. It's a good question. And why does it have to be something cute and fluffy? This is nature. Meat eaters need to eat meat. Okay, another question coming from Cambridge. Go for it. Unmute yourself and go for it.
You used to have 2 full whistling ducks. Did your other one die, or was that the old one?
This, unfortunately, was the second one, and both of them, one of them was probably snatched by a fox. And sadly, if you must know, this one might have been killed by a rat. It happened. I need to do some work to make sure that foxes and rats have no more access to my birds. It was very, very sad. I agree that this is a very appropriate time for sad faces. It does happen in life, unfortunately. Okay, any other questions out there? I don't see any hands raised. So why don't we go ahead and turn on your videos if you would like to, unmute yourselves. We'll say hello, goodbye, and see you next time.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was wonderful having all of you.
Bye. Thank you so much, Mr. Officer.
You're very welcome. Hope to see many of you next week.